And joining us now on the phone is Jason Whitlock from foxsports.com. And Jason, you wrote a fiery article, I think, that put into words what a lot of people think, what a lot of people feel about this Penn State situation. Because by the letter of the law, yeah, Joe Paterno, head coach over there at Penn State, did the absolute minimum that was required of him. And legally, he's going to be all right. But morally, I think the obligations he had, not only as a football coach, but as a man, certainly necessitated some greater action. Why is he still, in fact, the head coach? Why does he still have a job?
Well, I think it's taking some time for the Board of Trustees at Penn State to wrap their mind around what needs to happen with Joe Paterno. I think they're probably in some sort of negotiation about whether Joe gets to coach this weekend or whether he gets to finish out the season. Penn State's bowl eligible. I'm sure that they're concerned about this carrying on all the way into January. And it sounds like Joe doesn't want to go. I mean, he's like a lot of older people that probably feel like if they walk away from their job or walk away from what they've been doing forever, that their life will have no purpose and perhaps they'll die. And so I just think it's a negotiating process that's going on. Yeah, I don't think Joe Pa should coach this weekend. I think it will be a disaster for Penn State. I think it will invite protest at their football games. I think it will just continue the spotlight on the university and the football program for what they tolerated allegedly for so long from Jerry Sandusky. But, you know, Joe Pa, I think for the last 10, 15 years has held on to this job out of vanity, out of a fear that if he walks away, he'll have nothing else to do. And Penn State's just now mustering the courage to say, well, we're going to insist that you find something else to do.
Jason, in your article, which we encourage a lot of people to go ahead and read over at foxsports.com, you had a great passage. You said, it's the era we live in. Institutions are valued more than human beings. And I think it's certainly in State College, Pennsylvania, Penn State is the institution. So to what extent do you think the institution is being valued over these young boys and certainly over the human decency aspect that seems to have gone missing here?
I think that explains everything, that making money with Joe Pa and that football program being defined by Joe Paterno overshadowed everything else, doing the right thing. I think that Joe Paterno, the athletic director, the school president, everyone at the university was so concerned about damaging the Joe Paterno money train that those kids, those that were allegedly exploited by Jerry Sandusky were secondary and just of no concern to the university. It was more about making the money and making sure Joe Pa's image stayed pristine. And this is the proper ramification for that kind of indifference and irresponsibility.
Jason, what is your argument? All right, if we have a Penn State booster, a Penn State fan, one of these people who says, let's just let it play itself out, let's wait till the truth comes out, all this. These people who say that Joe Paterno was not responsible here, what's your argument with them? What would you say to them, I guess, in terms of an answer as to why Joe Paterno should step down or be fired?
One of his coaches came to him and said something about a child and a grown man in a shower and something inappropriate going on. We now know that that allegedly there was a 10, 11-year-old boy who was raped in a football shower in the football locker room at Penn State. It's the coach's responsibility to take action, serious action. This is his former 30-year employee. He did not do that. He passed the buck on to the athletic director. This is inexcusable. It can't be tolerated. It's no different. Look, I feel like Brian Kelly should have been fired last year at Notre Dame for what happened with the kid filming the practice on the scissor lift. This is even more clear-cut. The football coach has ultimate authority over everything that transpires within the football program. They want that authority. They want that responsibility. It's why they make millions of dollars. And I know that Joe Pa only makes $1 million a year, and we say only, but that's a lot of money. He has the highest profile, the most power at that school. It certainly falls on him. And so this is just, and if you want to go with, hey, he's an old man, and how could you expect, if that's the case, then he's certainly too old now to be coaching.
As you mentioned in your article, and you speak to the extent that Joe Paterno certainly is respected in college football, or maybe we can start saying was before this whole scandal broke. You have an interesting argument and an interesting thought here on the timing of this. What makes the timing of the release of this? This is a multi-year investigation. What makes the timing so suspicious?
Well, I think that with the Attorney General coming out right off the bat and saying, hey, Joe Pod did what he was supposed to do, and we don't blame Joe Paterno, that was my first time. I was like, well, hold on. You know, there's no reason to be making these statements. Any adults in that situation did not do all that they could do. I was glad that the Pennsylvania State Police came out and said Joe Paul should have done more. But once the Attorney General said that, I was like, well, hold on. She's trying to protect Joe Paterno as well. And they have a 3-year investigation, a 2-year grand jury, and it all just happens to wrap up and indictments and reports get filed 1 week after Joe Paterno gets victory 409, which pushes him past Eddie Robinson as the all-time winningest coach. That's suspicious to me. The timing of this is just very suspicious, and it makes me think that even the people at Penn State got to the Attorney General's office and said, hey, okay, just do us this one favor. Let us get through Joe Pa winning 409 and then drop the hammer on us. I think it's all suspicious.
It's amazing to think that a college institution can have that kind of power over something like this that is so serious. We look ahead now to what could lie ahead for Penn State in terms of a football program. We're already seeing some implications, at least on the recruiting trail. Noah Spence, who's the number 4 overall, he's 4th ranked in the nation in terms of being a prospect. He's tweeting that perhaps it's time to rethink his commitment to Penn State moving forward. Do you anticipate a similar reaction to other recruits, and where do you see this program here next year and maybe 2 years down the road?
I can't for the life of me see any recruit signing up under the current regime and scenario. So whatever recruits they do have, I'm sure are rethinking, or their parents are rethinking. You know, I think it would really damage the football program if they left this guy in place until next year. So I can't see it. I think by the end of this regular season, Joe Paterno will be removed, and they'll be dealing with a different scenario.